So recently I got a message from a fellow Wicked family member, and he asked me more like, how can I play arcade games, Mame games in 2021? I completely understand this question because there are so many ways to play, so I especially dedicate this video to my 5 ways to play Mame and arcade games in 2021. Some products you need to tinker with to get it working, to get the result that you want to have, and some products are just super easy plug and play solutions. But there are always, let's say, pros and cons with these things, so I just going to mention them all to help you out, to guide you in the jungle of devices and to find the one for you, so you can just enjoy some old school games from back in the day. Okay, so let's talk about the number 5, the official route. And I mean, what official routes are? Quite some companies out there, they're having like so different kind of devices that can play arcade games. They're all flawed in many ways, but it's just a really easy way without any tinkering. You can just buy it, plug it into your television and enjoy some games. But let's talk about these. The first company I want to point out is Atgames. Atgames is a great way to play. If you don't want to have any tinkering and just want to play, it's a great way. Especially when you're looking at like the 2-player, 1-player arcade sticks. You can plug it in your television with HDMI and you're ready to go. Depends what kind of version you're buying. Some have 150 games, some have 300 plus games. Depends a little bit what you're going to buy. So take that one in consideration. And also they are still having like online updates and there's a lot of development with these products. Another way to go to for Mame is the Capcom Home Arcade. But the only biggest bummer this thing has is that it only comes with 11 games. Great games in my opinion, but not a lot. There's a way you can update, but there's a lot of tinkering and it is not really easy to do. I just want to point it out that the Capcom Home Arcade is a great piece of hardware, comes with Sunwa parts, so this plays authentic, let's say, to the real arcade. The emulation is very good. They even uploaded some updates to the server so you can download them and improve your stick. Okay, we're having also an official Neo Geo way to play. I'm not going to talk about these mini things that I've reviewed, but I'm talking about the arcade sticks. The arcade stick is pretty cool, but it's very convenient that you can basically, if you want to have some tinkering, you can upgrade them and play even more than the couple of games that are on it, because it has more like the same problem like the Capcom Home Arcade. It has more games, but it's still missing out a lot of great games. So it's the official way, plug and play, without any hassle. But then overall, when you're looking at the Neo Geo stick, again, it suffers like the same problem like the Capcom Home Arcade, with not a lot of games to play. Okay, so let's talk about the CoinOPS. CoinOPS is available for the old school Xbox, the really classic, and so far I know still in my country these things are super cheap to buy. You can pick it up, it requires some tinkering to get it working, but an overall a CoinOPS on Xbox Classic is a great way to play all of your Neo Geo and Mame games. And that is why I want to put it on the number 4 position, not higher. You can pick up here in my country for 25 bucks an Xbox Classic with a controller. Maybe in your country it will be a little bit more expensive, but it is still a great way to go. The Xbox Classic console itself, it's not perfect, it's old, it's from 2001. Maybe you can buy like one from 2004, 2005. The hardware itself suffers from some problems like leaking condensators, you name it. But in overall, I think it's still a very great solution because these things are so super cheap to buy. It's a great thing to consider if you're having an old Xbox laying around and you want to mess around with it. This is a great way to play, and the support of games is just huge. It supports almost every single Mame game you can think of. There are some games like hidden gem games that are not working or having some issues with the controls, but it does run Killer Instinct, a game that is not available on many different systems. I want to just point this out and just want to let you know that the number 4, in my opinion, is the Xbox Classic with CoinOPS. Okay, so the next one on the list, number 3, is the Super Console X. It's a tiny device, basically what it is, it's just an Android box, but they call it a Super Console X. It comes pre-installed with EmuELEC and gives you a plug and play solution if you want to play some arcade and Mame games. It's super easy to use and it requires some tinkering if you're having some problems. So take into consideration stuff like this, always need to have some knowledge or you need to do some research if a game doesn't work or your controls are not set up like it should be. Another way to go to is just installing yourself EmuELEC on a TV box like the GT King or the GT King Pro. The convenient thing is that you're going to get a better quality box and you have more power. So and overall, when you're looking at the CPU, GPU and you're having more RAM, you have better compatibility when it comes to some of these platforms, especially when you're looking at arcade like Atgames Wave. It runs not that great on Super Console X, 2 of power and 1 GB of RAM, and with the GT King you don't have these issues, but you have more like the freedom to do whatever you want, like get yourself a different box, or you're going to get yourself a cheaper box. It's all up to you to choose what you want to do with the EmuELEC. But nevertheless, it's a great way to play, and I think it just deserves the number 3 spot on the list. Next in the list, for the number 2, I choose the Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi, you need a lot of tinkering if you don't have an image setup for this device. But the reason I choose this simply over, let's say, the Super Console X, because you don't have, like say, the limitation. The Raspberry Pi has a great support and a lot of stuff runs way better than on the Super Console X. So therefore, I just need to put it on a position, and I think it's just a super cool solution. So Raspberry Pi 4 is very well supported by the community, but also in combination when you're looking at every way, like if you're going to get a Pi 3 or Pi 4, if you want to, let's say, grab yourself a controller, if you want to get yourself some different cooling, there are so many ways. Or you can just, of course, get yourself an Orange Pi. But you need to have some more tinkering with this. But I can tell you, when you have enough knowledge about Raspberry Pi, or you just get yourself an image that's ready, set to go, you know for a fact that the emulation is very good on the Pi. And I think it's one of the best ways to play nowadays. So therefore I just choose it for putting it on the number 2 position. Because not only it's very popular, but it is just a really great way to play. So the Raspberry Pi on number 2. And for the number 1 I choose the Pandora's box systems. Okay, so before I'm going to chit chat about this in general, so the Pandora's box is flawed in many ways. It has some serious problems. Problems you don't have with the Raspberry Pi or Super Console X. But the reason I still put it on number 1 because it's so easy to use. There are not a lot of options you can mess up. Tinkering, you can do it with Pandora tool, but it is not needed at all. You can basically buy a Pandora box, doesn't even matter what version you want. Mame and Neo Geo is always supported by these boxes. And I think that's just a great way to play, plug and play, and very easy to do. Pandora's box is just nevertheless a great way to play, but there are also different ways to play. We're having the 2-player arcade sticks, we're having also a single player, we're having a wireless version. There are so many ways. And you just have a game console that you can plug and play on your television with some crappy controllers most of the time, but you can play actually some Mame and arcade very easily. When you're looking at the versions, I think the best one is still the Pandora game 3D. It has quick load, quick save options. It has a lot of great things to go with when it comes to arcade. I must say that if you are more like into the high scores, I understand that the Pandora's box DX is also the latest version that has more like purely for the high score saving. But nevertheless, the Pandora's box is a great way to go to because it's so easy to use. Plug and play on your television with an HDMI cable or an VGA cable. So this was my top 5 ways to play arcade and Mame games. I hope you have a better idea what kind of ways you can play. There are maybe some other ways to play, but these are my personal 5 ways to play. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions regarding this subject. If you have any questions regarding a certain product, let me know. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.